Yo, what's up guys? The day has come that I'm going to be trading in my Teshar for another unit. Few things that you have to keep in mind: that if you do trade in a unit, you have to make sure that it is not ruined at all, but also in RTA. The moment you do first time go into RTA, the runes will be copied over whatever you had at the units at that time. So therefore your Teshar might have some runes in RTA and therefore you cannot trade it in. And of course, you also have to make sure that he's no longer the rep or anything like that. So I have him set as rep right now. Let's just put any other unit as set as rep, just to make sure that that's not there. So I'm going to be trading in the Teshar. Reason that I'm already making the video, well, there's still a few days left. I could have done a little bit more days of farming on Giants with the Teshar, but I wanted to make this video a few days ahead, because this way people have a little bit more time to think about things. I made a video prior about making good teams, and I will talk a little bit about that later as well. However, that video is really good if you do want to focus on like thinking like what should you actually be trading in, or what should you be trading in the Teshar for. So first of all, you need 1,000 coins for this. So do make sure that you have 1,000 of those coins left over, because it might take you like a little bit of time to actually get these. And it would be sad if you're stuck with your unit that you do want to trade in and you just simply don't have those coins the moment that the event is already running out. Once again, people will be asking, is like, you need the Teshar for farming Giants, blah, blah, blah. Sure, it's the easiest to rune really strong Giants team, yes. But would you keep just a unit just for PvE when you can get the perfect unit to synergize with any of the other units you already have? I would definitely go for the second part, because in the end, you can farm Giants in a billion different ways. I will be making a Giants team in a future video with the runes that I have currently, and then just showcasing the best Giants team that I can do without a Teshar. But that will be, I think, the video of tomorrow. I think that kind of falls in sequence, so let's make that the video of tomorrow, right? However, you can definitely farm Giants without that. It's not an issue. If you can't, just simply do more Necro, because Necro you do without any net 5s, and you just do that until you can actually go into Giants. Or you farm more Steel Fortress, you get better artifacts, and then you can do Giants. It's definitely not impossible to do Giants without Teshar. It is still the easiest way to rune it. That is absolutely a thing. However, there are a bunch of options where you could say it's like, okay, I have a strong pair with X, Y, or Z unit, and therefore I'd rather have another unit. And that just makes so much more sense, because if you progress more in Arena, you get more free-to-play crystals, you can do more refreshes. And in the end, with Teshar, the only thing you can get is like fast runs, and you can close your game faster. That's pretty much as much as you get on that. If you really don't like to spend that much time on your phone or on the game, then maybe a Teshar is your way to go. But in most cases, you want to progress more, you want to get more free-to-play crystals, and that is actually enabled by picking a unit that will actually bring you further in any kind of shape or way. So that could be getting a better rank in Arena, that could be getting more wins in Siege, that could be a better defense unit, that could be a whole bunch of things. So the options I had for improving this account to the fullest potential: I could go for a defense unit in here to improve the defense. Thinking about a Triton, because I have the Finesse Triton Amduet combination, which is really strong already. I could go for Camilla, which is also strong on the Finesse Amduet +1 combination. But I felt like I'm not getting hit that much in defense, so I definitely do think that my offense is a little bit more on the weaker point. And in this account, I do want to focus more on Arena. So the offenses I have right now are the Rick and the Poseidon offense. If I had a Feng Yang, a Leo, Alaya, or at least 2 out of the 3, maybe even 1 out of the 3, I would absolutely went for the combination of the Feng Yang, Leo, Alaya, because that's just by far the easiest way for me to get as many arena hits in all week. Because right now I'm still definitely on the point where you're not really sure like who has the good defense, who has the bad defense. And a Leo, Feng Yang, Alaya can pretty much auto everything, because you remove the whole stat of speed from the enemy. And with that, it's pretty much the easiest thing out there. So if you have the combination of making 2 out of the 3 on these, or even 3 out of 3 on these, I would absolutely pick that final slot in that. But unfortunately, don't have any of those 3. So the next thing that I was thinking about is like, okay, if I can make the dot team in any kind of shape or way would be very strong. So then we're talking Noras, we're talking something along the lines of like the Trix, Lamila. That would definitely be an option in there. But I don't have any of those. I don't have the Amber in here. I don't have the Nora in here. I don't have the Nyx in here. I don't have the Lamilla in here. Or not the Nyx. What's the thingy? Amber, Trix, Lamilla. That's the other one. And then the other one is the Nora, Amber, Rika, something along those lines. So, but I don't have any of those units. And just simply picking a Lamilla is not really going to give me a dot team. Just simply picking a Nora is not really going to give me a dot team. If I had, like, let's say a Nora already, I would have definitely picked like a Amber or a Rika. If I already had a Lamila, I would probably pick up a Trix. Those kind of things definitely do have good synergize. You can maybe add in like a Sath or a Thrain, and you still kind of get there. But the issue is I have none of those for pairing. So therefore, unfortunately, on this account, I can't go for that. Too bad I don't have the net 5s that I pulled on the Say Blitz account, which is the video of yesterday or the day before yesterday. No, the video of yesterday, which was just getting like, I got the Amber in there. I chose the Nora because it was a good pair. I got the Changpeng in there. I got the Samath in there. So definitely a whole bunch of good options. So that was pretty much most of the things that I would recommend to pick. Normally, if you had a good pair on those, at least if you want to focus on Arena or maybe you want to focus on Siege. If you already have an Adriana, then you could be looking into picking up a Sonya or something. And with that, you can definitely have very strong pairs as well. Or maybe even better, you go for the Rigna. Or, well, this is the Rigna. And then with the Adriana, you definitely have an absolute strong pair. But also, don't have any of those. This account actually has kind of shit for units. But what I do have is a Rick. And I do have a Poseidon. Those are the main units that I can be focusing on actually utilizing and making it stronger. So what is a strong combination with a Rick or a Poseidon? Well, that's actually Tiana. But then the big question is, do I actually want to go for Tiana? Because Tiana kind of enables me certain things, but it also disables certain things. And what is the part where it disables something? Well, let's say I go in an arena offense, I go on this. This team right now is probably the best I can do. I could put a Tiana on the Bernard slot, but then my team would be slower for sure. I could, in that case, also make this one speed lead for a little bit faster of the speed lead, and then put a Tiana in there. It's definitely kind of an option that I'm doubting about. But then I was also thinking, what if I go for a Jeogun? And Jeogun is the Artmaster Fire. If I use this team and I put the Jeogun in here, the only big issue that I see is where I go from one stripper to two strippers, so there's more chance of stripping things. But I go from 2 armor breakers to 1 armor breaker. And that is definitely a little bit worse. So the big question is, currently I'm working with a 19 lead. But that 19 lead could go to a 33 lead because this team is a lot more usable with that in itself. However, you go up by a 14 lead, but you also go down by a 15 base speed because of the trade-off of a Bernard to a Tiana. And then again, the Vanessa doesn't really add too much value to this as well. So I'm definitely a little bit in doubt between the Jeogun or Tiana because I think that those are simply just the best pairs for my account itself. But then the thing is like, okay, what is best also for the simple cleanup? Is that going to be a Tiana or is that going to be a Jeogun altogether? Because Jeogun definitely does have the options for being hit as a fire element as well. Also, with this, it would be a lot easier to make my Rick really slow because I do get another 15 boost over here plus the boost of the Bernard of a 30. And then it would be very easy. However, there's also a few options where you could go for a slight different route with the Tiana, and that Tiana would be I still go for the Gemini, I go for my damage dealer, I go for the Tiana, but then my push-up unit, or my attack bar increase unit, but also ATB gain unit, would be a Hongyong. And Hongyong is working on a 107 base, but also has a 15 increase, but then also has the attack buff in here. And that also gives an option to give Tiana the attack buff. So I think that my best set is no longer going to be on Bernard, but is going to be on this unit. And then I still can use all of the teams. Sure, I will be a little bit slower to outspeed some of the units that on the enemy side might be a little bit faster. But I think maybe even I go fastest set Tiana, second fastest set on her. And then I can still do a lot of combinations working like that. But in the end, with a little bit of doubt back and forth, thinking about like, hey, Jeogun might be a really good take. Yes and no. And the main reason that I don't go for a double strip, but I'd rather go for a double armor break is the following. If you go into arena offense, most of the time, your arena off or the arena defense on the other side doesn't have full immunity. Most of the time, it's like 1 or 2 immunities. So if you miss the odds of missing strip, therefore becomes less because there's less targets to strip in the first place. But missing the armor break, you always want 4 out of 4 armor breaks. And having 2 armor breakers in there is definitely really nice. In the end, if I do switch to a Tiana, I will mostly work with just 1 armor breaker as well because I wouldn't really work with this. But at least the strip potential is a guaranteed already. So For that reason, I was definitely giving a little bit of back and forth because Jeogun definitely does have strong value in here. Also, might you have a Jeogun? It's definitely an option that I would replace the Galleon for a Jeogun in that option because it's definitely just a really strong option in the first place to actually do that. However, for me, I felt like it felt strong. The idea felt good. I could definitely use it in some siege offense as well. Let's say that I were to use it in siege offense. But for me, it's like legit pretty close to 50-50. So the siege offense that I would, of course, do with the Tiana is going to be this one. 100% this one. Super easy. But then again, if I were to use a Jeogun, I would put Jeogun in this offense, which is also a very interesting offense. Plus, I'm actually thinking about the Jeogun one thing right now. And that is actually something that I started thinking of. Wow, okay, I'm doubting more again. I thought I made this video with the ideas like, oh, I already have the plan in mind. I know what I want to do. But what if I go for the Jeogun and I can put the Jeogun as lead? Jeogun has a 50 attack lead for fire. That is a lot and a lot of damage stacking on this thing. So if I want to hit anything slower, I could still go for this combination. We still have the strip in there. I could even go for a different armor breaker, as in picking up a Jasmine from the HOH. I'm not sure if I did the HOH this week already on this account. No, I did not do the HOH on this account just yet. I think I might actually go for that. I think that might actually be the real play over here, because I haven't done the HOH here yet, but there is a pretty good pickup for a Jasmine over here, which is one of the better armor breakers that also has a reset. So if you're fighting like annoying passives and those kind of things, she can be really good. Plus her skill 2 is really strong into clearing out Camillas, because her S2 does damage based on how much attack bar they have. You drain the attack bar, you remove the attack bar, and then you do damage based on that. So with the Jeogun, I actually have a lot more value based on that than I would have any other way. So yeah, I actually reconsidered my choice while making this video, and I'm not gonna go for Tiana. Tiana's too simple. Sure, Tiana is absolutely really great. It is absolutely an insane unit, but due to the buff of Jeogun, wait, do we have... Oh, it still has runes in Siege, and it's in World Guild Battle Defense. Is it in World Guild Battle Defense? I would highly doubt that. Oh, it might actually be. Is it? Yeah, it was. So remove you in there. That's fine. Yes, then we also probably... I think then we don't have to remove the runes in that. In Siege probably also, because in Siege it's also now a thing right now where you have like a rune split. So therefore it does still have runes in here, which you also have to remove. I definitely do think for a lot of people this is a little bit confusing that you have so many rune splits. But then again, if you get the hang of it, it's very useful. It's really good. So that does mean that I think we can make the change. It's in Guild Profile. Guild Profile? Did I put that thing in Guild Profile? What the hell do you mean I put it in Guild Profile? Ah, apparently my Teshar's flying over here as well. Let me check where the hell to remove that shit, because I have no clue. Is that in my profile itself? It's the tower over here with the Guild Profile. That's probably the one. Yep. Took me, legitimately, not gonna lie, took me a pretty long time to find. We're gonna put a freaking Poseidon in there. I don't care. I'll remove that thingy. We now finally switch our unit. So yeah, that's definitely one of those things. If you do it on the very last moment, you are going to be kind of stressing like, where the hell is button at? What do I have to remove? Where, when, how, what, wherever? That kind of stuff. Well, in this case, we can change that over here, unowned, and we're going to go for a Jeogun. And we are going to have that change over here. So no more Teshar on the account, and we have a Jeogun on this account. I still have the Galleon in here, and I will remain that on a Galleon. I don't have any other 4-star that I would say I'd rather have. So in that case, I will definitely go for that Jeogun. Is that Jeogun also immediately picked up over there? Or do we have to claim a full level Jeogun over here? It's still funny to see, like, I summoned a level 46-star unit. Nice. So yeah, that's going to be my switch. And I will also showcase quickly, like, what kind of team I can do with that. So Minato's still a little bit annoying because you will actually be hitting them up front. This kind of team might be a little bit on the fast side. But if we remove this and we still kind of keep this, I think that it would be somewhat fine. Okay, this team might be a little bit on the fast side, but I do think that will be... Okay, this team might be a little bit on the fast side, but I think we're good to go on this as well. Artifact-wise, I think we're going to just go attack increasing effect or something like that. No, let's actually... We could do addition or a speed increasing effect. The speed increasing effect actually does make it where my scroll trap is remaining longer, so in a longer drawn out fight, it could help a little bit more that way. I'm just gonna slap whatever runes on it that I can find real quickly, and I'll do some proper rune sets on it at a later moment. Let's just for now do kind of like the fastest runes I can find. And actually, I don't really need you as a rune set anymore because the Praline is only used in Siege. I definitely have to start doing a lot more farming for... well, actually a whole bunch of stuff in the first place. But I have to start doing more R5 because the last few days I was just doing like non-stop on Giants farming. And with that Giants farming, it also made it where I don't have to do any farming anytime soon with that I was doing with the Teshar before. So with that said, I kind of used my Teshar to the fullest potential for the longest duration. Except for the last few days, of course. But in this case, normally with the Galleon, the Rick wouldn't have cut, because he was just a lot slower and I more had to focus on the Poseidon than on the rig. But whereas the Poseidon was mostly lacking a little bit of damage because it's just a bit worse of a scaler, in this case I'm going to have the double boost. With the double boost, it's just going to be a lot more value for that. Sure, we might miss a little bit more of armor breaks because I had 2 armor breakers in the past. But in this case, I think it is really a strong team out there. And let's say that something is going to be a bit slower than my team. Let's say for this one, definitely a bit of a slower team. The moment I get Jasmine, I will place the Jasmine over here on the Gemini slot. Gemini is pretty nice though, because it is triple fight, supposedly. Do have the fight runes for that. It just didn't put up on the switch or didn't hold up on that switch earlier. The Prilia I still need, you I kind of still need, but I think with this, well, actually it doesn't really matter that if it goes down a little bit, do we still, okay, we do still need the AC2, preferably AC2 and S3. Do we have that? We kind of have that. Yep, that's actually pretty good artifact. So we have that going in, and this way it is still a possibility where I can get a lot of speed in on the rig. I get a lot more attack in on the rig, and I can just simply do a lot more damage, where I can also maybe go for a build where he has a little bit more accuracy. With that little bit more of accuracy, I can also get more in for the second rotation that he does. So let's see how much damage this rig is doing. We're doing a good amount of damage on very tanky units right here. So that's going to be the game plan for this one. If you don't have a rig, but you have a Zyros, you might be looking at the similar kind of unit. But I definitely do think that I made a good choice in this one. Sure, Tiana would have been nice, but a Tiana would have still put me on a spot where I couldn't really outspeed that much. Sure, Tiana is the greatest stripper in game, absolutely. But then again, can you strip everything with that? Okay, in this case, we did miss an armor break. But the thing is about Rick, it also destroys a lot of HP. So sure, we're going for a very annoying revive right now. But the annoying revive is actually not as annoying as it seems. And plus, I can put something in the scroll trap for a little bit. So I can work on other units while not have to deal with anything else for the cleanup as well. So definitely, the Jeogun has pretty strong value for something to be picked up. And that is actually because of the last balance patch where it became interesting. And that might be actually one of those units that you guys haven't really been looking at all for maybe picking up. But I think it is a super strong unit altogether. And we just have some good rotations in there. Of course, it is max skilled. So for that reason, it will take a little bit more turns. The Bernard is still very useful. I actually should max skill the Bernard as well, because then the Bernard speed buff is a little bit more value. And since Bernard is going to be my main speed buffer still, I think I'm going to be working the Dimensional Hole energy towards that. But this is the way I can get some more hits in. Things like this I still can't really hit. But then again, if I were to go for a Tiana, I would still not be able to hit this as well. So if I had a Leo, Feng Yang, Alaya, or a combination of that, I would have absolutely went for that. If I could have made the dot team, I would have absolutely went for that. If I already had a bunch of dot team units, I would have went for something like a Hey Gang or so. But I simply don't have those units, so I gotta work with the units I do have. And with the units I do have, I think this is by far the strongest combination I can make right now. Plus, I can also use this, of course, in Siege. So After this hit, we'll do a hit in Siege as well, just to showcase how that would work. So in this case, we do miss one strip, but we can get the strip in here. Do miss the armor break on that, do get the counter. But even with that counter, while it's on the speed lead, I still get enough speed. Even when this rig is a super slow unit. I don't have too much stats on that rig altogether. But now from this, like most units are dead, it can go for a little bit of a longer fight. But the cleanup on this team is pretty strong as well. It's maybe not the strongest against Camillas. But if you do add in a Jasmine, then you also have the Camilla issue pretty much solved out. So I definitely do think it is a very nice upgrade for Arena. Then, of course, in Siege, let's just hit my team. Defense, this defense. I was using this team before, but you're kind of by the mercy of this unit, like how good is the Kali going to do over there, which might be a little bit bad. But in this case, we can, of course, go for this combination. But we could also go for different combinations where we still put the Jasmine in there. And we can go for this plus the Jasmine in there. So that's definitely a few options. I think this plus the Jasmine in there if they're super slow. Otherwise, I think I'd probably still go for the speed lead. But definitely a few options in there which will be pretty strong where I can also utilize this unit. Or I could just simply utilize it like this. I'm not too sure if the... Well, in this case, maybe the speed buff of you still utilizes a little bit more for you. But I'll find my Jeogun team in Siege as well. But then again, Siege is pretty easy. Arena, I still want to focus on getting that Guardian rank. And we're still pretty far off from that. But that is going to be how it's going to be for right now. And the video of tomorrow, of course, is going to be that video of how I will be still doing Giants, but without a Teshar, and still trying to get a pretty decent speedy team at it. So let's see if that works out. Guys, thanks a lot for watching for this one. If you don't want to miss out on the next one, you got to subscribe. See you as always in the next one. Okay, so while editing this video that I'm trying to post at this moment, I do like legit 13 scrolls, and this account hasn't been pulling anything, but this happened. And that is maybe why you should wait until the very last day, because you might still pull anything that you want to have any choices of. This account hasn't been pulling anything like for net 5, like barely anything useful at all. I did pick up a Barbara and a Liam. It's not going to be anything interesting because I don't really do dragons, plus you need insane good runes for dragons to make it work in the first place. But we pulled a Panda. The Unfair Bear, which is a really good pull, an absolutely insane pull. But in that case, I would have really liked to have a Leo. I would rather go for Leo than Alaya because Leo Riley still works. Sure, Leo Alaya is a lot better, but I would rather go for removing their speed, having the speed increase from this stupid thing over here and make it insanely OP. Yes, but then again, don't really have that. I will definitely also have a target for my skill ups right now because I definitely will be focusing stuff on this Panda right here. But I will have to find a different team where I can use it in. Would I have traded in the Jeogun for a Leo? Yeah, to be honest, 100%. Yes, so maybe wait until your last day before actually switching anything. Then again, I have one of those like superstition feelings that if I didn't trade in the Jeogun, I would have never had the Panda. But then again, now I have a Panda to work with on this account, which is definitely going to enable me to make some auto teams to a certain extent, which is definitely going to be an interesting one as well. But then again, fuck. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.